Hello soulmate, you're welcome to another beautiful tutorial. So in this video we'll be learning how to make this trendy sleeve. So the first thing you have to do is to fold your material into two. After folding your material into two, mark 6 inches away from the edge of the material folded and roll a straight line. So the 6 inches totally depends on you. You don't have to. You must not use 6 inches for your own, right? If you want it to be bigger, if you want it to be bigger than what I'm working on, please, you have to use more than 6 inches when you are extending your sleeve. So what we are doing now, instead of using the slash and spread method, I'm just going to place my sleeve pattern after the 6 inches. You understand what I'm saying? So now if you want your own to be bigger, you can extend with like 8 inches before you place your sleeve pattern the same way I'm placing mine. In case you don't know how to draft the normal basic sleeve pattern, I will be dropping the link in the description box for us to see. So I'm just connecting my straight line to serve as a guide for me for the other parts I want to work on. So the next thing I will do now, from the top of the sleeve I will come up by 4 inches. It also totally depends on you. If you want your own to be bigger, you can extend with more than 4 inches. You can use 5, 6, anyhow you want it. Do you get? So but this is how I want it. I want the sleeve to be kind of portable, not too big and not too small, right? So that's why I'm using this measurement I'm working with. So you can just connect it the same way I'm connecting it. Now you can decide to connect yours like sharper than how my own is here now, but this is how I want it. So from the upper part, you come up by 10 inch. Now from the 4 inch we added to the normal sleeve length, now you come down by 10 inch, then you connect it the same way you see me connecting it in the video. Just connect it. You can decide to use your pattern, your rulers to do a proper connection, but I tried placing my ruler earlier, but it didn't give me the right curve I wanted for that part. That's why I'm using my hand. So I'm just going ahead to cut it out. I'm cutting on the paper because I actually traced the paper out from my normal sleeve pattern to get this work done. So after tracing it out like this, I'll go ahead to cut both the fabric and the lining I'm working with, and I will also go ahead to cut on the peplum stay I'm working with. Don't forget we'll be needing our peplum stay. You can even decide to use your collar stay. Yes, you can decide to use it, and you can also decide to use any other stay that is strong enough for the sleeve pattern. So we'll be using our collar stay. I will be using peplum stay and my 1 inch crinoline for the design. So I'll go ahead to iron everything. I've gone ahead to iron the collar and the peplum stay on my fabric. Sorry, I don't know why I'm mentioning collar stay. So I've gone ahead to iron my peplum stay on the lining itself. Don't forget that you have to iron on the lining. You do your crinoline adding to your lining. You don't add it to the main fabric, because if you do add it to the main fabric, you will be having some stitches, some lines on the main fabric, which is not going to be professional, right? So what I'm doing here now, before I add my crinoline, I'm just marking half an inch away from the edge of the sleeve, so that by the time after sewing my crinoline now, I will use that half an inch to do the joining allowance for both this lining and the main fabric I'm working on. If I should put the crinoline at the edge of it, I will not be able to turn it. So that's why I came up by half an inch before I am adding my crinoline. I hope we understand that. If you have any question, you can drop in the comment section and I will be glad to attend to it. So I'm just going ahead to attach my crinoline to it, as you can see me do in the video. So after that, I've gone ahead to run stitches on the other side of it also. You can see that the thread is on both sides. The upper part of the crinoline and the lower part of the crinoline has been sewn together. So the next thing now is to turn the lining with our main fabric. So I'll just place my fabric on top of it, right side facing each other. Then I will run a straight stitch from the half inch we left on the lining. That's what I will use to turn the main fabric and the lining together. After turning it, please, it was actually even difficult even with just the peplum stitch. So just go ahead, trim a bit and notch. I did notch my own before it came out this way. So please don't forget to notch your own if you really want it to come out nicely and clean. So the next thing now, we have to use the lining to turn the main fabric. So you fold it the same way you see me folding it. The lining both on each shoulder, the fabric both on each shoulder. Do you understand it? So you just fold it, put it together, and you run your straight stitches from the main fabric to the lining where we have the peplum stitch. Do you get? Don't forget that the lining is on each shoulder and the fabric is on each shoulder, right? So this is how you just sew it straight. After sewing it straight, you turn. So I was actually just trying to turn it. It was quite difficult because the edges where we have those stitches together, where we just sewn, wasn't even relaxing. Do you get? So I went ahead to trim it. So what you do, you just flip it over and trim the edge. You can see that part. So you just have to trim it very well so that it can relax. So after trimming it, you go ahead to iron it properly before you draw your gathers on it. So like the number of inches, the measurement I use for the sleeve is not a must that you use the same, right? So like I said, I don't want the sleeve to be too big and I don't want it to be too small. That's why I'm using this measurement I'm using. So I'll just go ahead to tack with my needle on thread and draw my gathers on it. So after doing that, I'll come and show us. So this is what I've done with the needle and thread. So I'll go ahead to draw my gathers. So if you don't want to do gathers, you can actually pleat on it. You can actually pleat on it, but I decided to use gathers on it and it came out pretty nice. And yeah, so here is what it looks like. Here is the final look of the sleeve. If you find it helpful, you can just give it a thumbs up. So I'll just go ahead and add it to the gown I'm working on. This is the final look of the sleeve.